wrestle.
You don't have to get me set up.
Can you talk, Bill?
Yeah, check. Joining us tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast right now is a man that needs no introduction, but we'll give it a try anyway. This man is an entrepreneur, producer, New York Times best-selling author, and a legend in the world of professional wrestling, and host of the podcast 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, which will be live in St. Louis February 23rd, and my personal favorite room in town, off-Broadway at the corner of Limp and Broadway. Tickets are available at 83weeks.com and offbroadwaystl.com. Welcome to the show, Mr. Eric Bischoff. How you doing, Eric?
Yeah, just do it like that.
Very good.
That's perfect. Yeah. Just do it like that.
No problem.
I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Zach,
I assume.
Can you
I've
talk?
been nervous.
Oh, yeah. My name is not Marie. None of my names are Marie
JCB?
at all.
I don't even know what to say, man. This is
Cool.
it seems like it's gonna be one of them
That's
days.
funny.
You know? I'm just gonna leave it at that.
And you don't have a mic yet, so you're cool.
I'm cool.
And do you
Alright.
have play something real quick just before we call him and
Call me if you
he
want.
gets
Yeah. So.
okay. Interesting
I'm not even gonna ask.
Is that your voicemail? I'm never calling you.
It's my friends send me every year on Christmas Day. My friends Pat and Crystal. They always do Carol of the Bells, just 10 seconds of it, and then they cut off. I think they do it for like 20 people.
All right, cool. Let me double check that I got this right, and then you can call him. And
He's calling us.
oh, okay.
So it's 6:15 right now. Once his phone starts ringing, we'll do it. And then after that, we'll do like a 40-minute podcast.
Cool.
Is that cool with you?
Works for me.
So, how's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
I started off this week by falling down my back stairs
Oh,
in the ice, on the ice. And I fucking ate it so hard that it hurt for 4 days so far. I mean, we'll see what hurts tomorrow. I don't know. But
where does it hurt?
elbow, arm, back. And just, yeah. So it's been a great week.
Yeah, sounds like it. The fuck?
That's why we're tag team partners at this point.
Yeah.
Everybody's headphones good.
Shitty week, brothers.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da,
right.
da, da. Do you see all those pictures on Twitter of them dressed up like a DX and doing all the, like, they were doing their shit, but, like,
No.
kind of fun. I don't think it meant anything, but
No, quick crew have been missed it.
it's pretty cool. Weird, but cool.
If he doesn't call by 6:23, we'll start the podcast. And then if he calls, I'll just answer it and you can edit it, right?
That's fine.
You want to do our intro real quick? Or do you want to wait?
No, we can do it. So we're doing Finn Balor.
Oh shit.
Finn Balor,
Finn Balor, Mysterio,
Lashley.
Almas,
Lashley.
and Bobby Lashley, right?
Or the women's tag team, which championship, whichever one you want to do. Almost Mysterio has
Women's
to be
tag
talked about.
team, yeah.
yeah.
Women's tag team has been in the works for a while. So
And we haven't talked about it in the last couple of weeks, so yeah, that's fine.
well, I was gonna say the other one.
Quarterback this shit.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we're talking about Finn Balor as the new #1 contender for Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. The women's tag team belts are finally a real thing. Bobby Lashley takes the Intercontinental Championship. That and maybe an interview tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Handy Moore. And to my right, as always, we have 2 beers, Zach Pullman. What's going on, Zach?
I just want to officially announce that I have asked for my release from WWE.
That's right.
And I'm on my way to AEW.
To his right, as always, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, Jason?
Allow us to pull down the latest volume of Band from Ringside, volume 91. Chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Quick shout out to my girl, Becky Balboa. I love you. Let's just keep this thing rolling.
To my left and his right, we have Murray the Murray Man. Murray, what's going on, Murray?
I don't think I have a microphone.
Murray,
Oh, he doesn't have a microphone. We're waiting for a whole bunch of stuff. We are coming at you from the exquisite Shock City Studios in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. We're waiting on something right now. Before we got Sam the Muller Mall turning the knobs tonight.
Mr. Perfect's in the house.
Before we get too far into it, we got to remind you of that day-ish sponsor, that day one-ish sponsor, I should say, Soul Taco. That's the baby, that beautiful Mexican, Korean fusion food that you never knew that you needed, but once you have it, you'll never have anything else. It's so good, guys. They have 2 food trucks driving around the St. Louis, Missouri area. They also have a place in the U-City Loop, Chesterfield, Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, Champaign, Illinois, 2 places in Chicago, Illinois, and places coming up all over the world, all over the Midwest at least. Yourself some. They have them spicy pork burritos, them chicken quesadillas, all that good stuff. We're not lying when we tell you guys that it's our favorite restaurant here from Band from Ringside. They're not only a sponsor, they're a friend of the show. Go to Soul Taco, tell them the Band from Ringside sent you. So without further ado, let's get to our 3 counts.
I think about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. No, it was last year. We were trying to figure out who Brock Lesnar was going to wrestle for the Universal title at Survivor Series, and we had exhausted all kinds of avenues, and a certain name came up, and they passed this person over to go with Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. But now I think we might have come and there's no think to it. We've come full circle. Finn Balor not only had to beat Jinder Mahal, but then had to go on and beat John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and everybody's favorite in the room, Baron Corbin, in a fatal 4-way to earn his right to be the number 1 contender to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. So you ask,
believe he pinned Corbin clean. Just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's surprising because he's main event player. You ask, how did Finn Balor become the number 1 contender? I thought Braun Strowman was the number 1 contender. Alas, when you turn over Vince McMahon's, you tore off the door first, bust open the window, and then proceed to turn over Vince McMahon's limo. Not only do you get fined $100,000, but now on top of it, you lose your Universal title shot in. Now, the backstage rumor is apparently the elbow from Braun Strowman is not 100%. They had to go in and do some quitting out of some bone chips or whatever the case may be from his elbow. So going into Monday Night Raw, it was questionable whether he was going to be a part of the main event or not. Obviously, by the time Raw came on the air, that decision was made. So now I guess my question, and I'll throw this out to you guys, is this. There's been a lot of pushback from Finn Balor being the now number 1 contender, and I understand that. I have a problem with this just because of the fact that we didn't have this big of a pushback with AJ. We didn't have this big of a pushback with Daniel Bryan. This is not, real life. We're getting ready to fight to the death. This is still professional wrestling. So there has to be a little bit of suspension of disbelief to this. What's the difference between AJ, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor. Basically the same size, basically the same moveset. Daniel Bryan and AJ more of a submission moveset. I don't understand what the problem is and why we have this big of a pushback. Go.
Wait, who's got a problem with any of this? Though?
Oh, there's a lot of people that have a problem with this.
Are they
A problem-
Twitter people?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course they're
Oh,
Twitter.
yeah.
A problem with Finn Balor?
Yeah, with
Fucking
Finn
Twitter
Balor,
people.
with Finn Balor having a realistic chance of beating.
So
Lesnar.
is the problem with Finn Balor having a match with
I think
Brock Lesnar?
no,
or is the problem?
it's because of this obvious size difference.
Oh, I haven't seen any of that. Like, you're much more extremely online than I am when it comes to the wrestling community. Like, you're always you're fighting people online all the time, arguing with them. I don't think that anybody really has a problem with Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar, because to me, Brock Lesnar always seems to have more fun and always seems to give it a little bit more oomph when he's fighting somebody that's much smaller than him.
He wants to fight those guys, and from what I've heard,
And he sells for those guys.
he sells for them. Yeah.
He sold for Daniel Bryan. He sold for AJ Styles. Like, those are two of the best Brock Lesnar matches of the last 18 months, no doubt. So I don't have any problem with Finn. Obviously I don't have any problem with Finn Balor. Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar to me is a much more intriguing, much more enticing match than Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar.
Here's my only concern is I heard differently. I heard it didn't have anything to do with his elbow. It was that Brock wanted to work with Finn, and also that Vince didn't want Strowman to lose again to Brock without giving him the title, and he doesn't want to give him the title. So my only problem is, like, you just know he's not going to, that's the only thing. Is like,
Finn is not going.
yeah, you got that David and Goliath thing. It'd be a much cooler story if there was any chance of him going.
But the real question is, like, what happens on Monday night after on Sunday night Finn loses? Like, are we still going to push this forward? And I think that Finn versus Bobby Lashley, and we'll get to Bobby Lashley in a little bit, but Finn versus Bobby Lashley for an Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania is a worthwhile endeavor for both those guys.
Can we just do a podcast where you say Intercontinental?
That's it. What did I say?
I don't know, but it was funny.
Intercontinental.
Okay, there you go.
Intercontinental.
You got that man live. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Murray.
Sorry.
Intercontinental.
Share with the class. What are your thoughts about Finn Balor, Brock Lesnar?
I'm going to leave that up to when we get to predictions and I say who I think is going to win at Royal Rumble.
Are you okay with
that's
this?
next week.
Absolutely. No, I like I said a couple weeks ago, I thought Finn was going to start getting the Rockets, even if he doesn't beat Brock at Royal Rumble. I don't think they're just going to throw him to the side afterwards. So, like you guys said, I'm kind of interested to see what they do after Sunday with all that.
I don't know, man. I think we kind of agree that this is the one and done, because I don't think you want to have. I won't say that. Vince is not going to have Finn Balor at anywhere near the top of the mid card or the main event. So let's just get that off the table. I want to see this unfold. Just make it credible. Don't make this a squash. Do what you got the blueprint. You've done it twice. You've done it twice. You can do it a third time.
This is the one and done thing that you and I fundamentally disagree about, though, is that you thought that Samoa Joe was the one and done, and I think that putting Samoa Joe in a ring with Brock Lesnar and having him look credible, like, the only reason that Samoa Joe lost that match was because he made a mistake, and that was the whole point of that match. The story of that match was that Samoa Joe made a mistake, and then Brock Lesnar capitalized on it, and Brock Lesnar won. So I think they're going to make Finn Balor look strong. What would be the point of putting Finn Balor in a ring with Brock Lesnar, unless you were going to make Finn Balor look strong?
You see how they did Braun Strowman at least a couple of times. I mean,
yeah, but Finn Balor, they also had tip over limos and shit like that. He always looks strong.
I know. Did he just say Finn Balor? Was that just me? Just
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Let's make it
Finn Balor.
Yeah.
You guys, did you guys miss that episode with Finn Balor took over a limo?
I mean, I haven't been watching a whole lot of Raw lately, so
I know. I consider it my job.
All I'm saying is that for whatever reason, and just making sure I'm not the craziest person in the room. Notice I said crazy is. If it's one of those things,
You are.
well, okay, as long as we're on a consensus on it. I just don't get who else do you want to put up against Brock at this point? I mean, the options are slim to nil.
you know what? I want
Perfect.
him versus Bacon. That's what I want.
My
Bacon always.
biggest fear when John Cena came out at the beginning
that John
of Raw
Cena was going to win.
it was going to be John Cena versus
Daniel Bryan.
Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania or at Royal Rumble. That they were going to overdo that thing again. I liked that John Cena came out. I liked that John Cena put over Finn Balor.
Yeah, that's his job done.
What bothered me was the thing afterwards where John Cena had to cut a promo putting over Finn Balor. I guess that Vince thinks, and maybe this is true for the majority of the audience, that Vince wants John Cena to hold up Finn Balor's hand and say, this is the guy, because Cena lost clean in the middle of the ring to Finn Balor on a nasty-looking coup de grace. It wasn't nasty looking that looked like it hurt. It was nasty looking that looked like it's just a bad finish. I mean, it's the worst.
It is
Finn Balor.
Is it the Shane McMahon punch of finishers?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. No. Murray wants to get in. Let Murray get in here for 30
Go ahead,
seconds.
Murray.
Go ahead.
Only thing I want to say about Shane McMahon and Miz is next time flip the cake over and kick it into the man's face
That's not
instead
what-
of to your new Jordans.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later. What I'm saying is the coup de grace didn't look very good. The coup de grace is a shitty finisher, and it was I thought it was a little bit of overkill to have John Cena endorse Finn Balor in the middle of the ring at the end of Raw, just because Finn Balor already beat a former champion in Jinder Mahal, and then Finn Balor already cut a mean-ass promo in front of Vince McMahon at the beginning of the show.
Which was
And then Finn Balor won a fatal four-way, pitting John Cena in the middle of the ring. You don't need John Cena to come out there and say, "Hey,
you'd
this
be
guy's
surprised.
legit. This guy's legit."
No, you'd be surprised.
But he's already over, though. It's not.
Who's
It's
over?
Finn Balor.
Okay.
Finn Balor's over with the crowd.
Okay.
You agree, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's already there. You don't need John Cena to say, "Hey, this guy's legit." Everybody, it's not The Rock holding up Roman Reigns' hand at the end of the Royal Rumble.
Same thing.
No, but it's not though.
It is Vince McMahon giving his quote unquote seal of approval. Now, how far this seal of approval goes, I'm not saying he's going to win the Universal title in the Royal Rumble. I'm just saying that, keep this in mind.
Are you happy about
Yeah.
Finn Balor having the number one contendership?
Yeah.
at Royal Rumble?
I said it last year. Last year before Daniel
Well,
Bryan.
last year it should have happened. Last year,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I guess last
Should have happened. And
I guess last year at Royal Rumble, it was Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar versus Kane.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That's because it was terrible.
That happened
that happened.
since we've had a podcast?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
That's why whenever I said Evolution was the best pay-per-view, and he was like, "What about Royal Rumble?" I was like, "Dude, that was the main event."
I do not remember that at all.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I guess I blocked out my memory.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if you could block out your memory.
Like years of abuse.
And that'll do it for our... No, we'll get to our 2 count. What you guys at?
What are we talking about? I
Whatever
heard
you want.
I heard Bobby Lashley won the Intercontinental title. So,
If you didn't watch it, do the women's tag team matches.
I heard that there was going to be women's tag team titles coming out pretty soon. I don't know. I saw the belts online. They look pretty cool.
You still want your job here?
I mean,
See,
I'm
I'm
losing
getting
left
it.
and right now. So.
You're fired. You're fired.
Second time this week.
You guys say coming in from the bullpen.
All right,
Sam.
but we can talk about Lashley.
Lashley beat Rollins and Ambrose in a triple threat match. My specialty.
Yeah, buddy.
How was the match?
Well, the match was pretty good, actually. The
Yeah.
match was really good. I think that this is a really good booking move for WWE because the Ambrose Seth Rollins feud does not need a title.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, Lashley is no spring chicken. I mean, that dude's a fucking freak. He looks so good, like physically, but he's no spring chicken. And what is he? I think he was the 8th or 9th Black Intercontinental Champion in history. So, pretty cool. Get a belt on him. Help maybe prop him up. Leo Rush wasn't definitely doing it.
No, kid, no name.
Don't name him.
Say shit, it'll take me all hour. Goddamn.
So maybe this helps out, and because Lashley is a capable performer, but he's just all goofy. The booking is bad, so maybe he'll get better.
I said it on Twitter. I guess that was Monday night. If you're going to actually do the end game where it's Brock versus Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose doesn't need to have the Intercontinental title. I hate to say this word or this phrase, but he's bigger than that.
Hold on. We're going to call him right now.
All right.
Joining us on the Band from Ringside podcast right now is a man that needs no introduction, but we'll give it a try anyway. This man is an entrepreneur, a producer, a New York Times bestselling author, and a legend in the world of professional wrestling, and host of the podcast 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, which will be live in St. Louis February 23rd at my personal favorite room in town, off Broadway at the corner of Left and Broadway. You can buy tickets at 83weeks.com. That's spelled out 83weeks.com, and offbroadwaystl.com. Welcome to Band from Ringside, Eric Bischoff. How are you, sir? Well, thank you for joining us. I know that you're a busy man, and I know that we only have a little bit of time with you. So we're excited to have you coming into St. Louis here in a few weeks. Before that, I wouldn't mind asking you, or I wouldn't mind picking your brain on a few things going around. There's something going around the wrestling community that's got it all a buzz right now, which is All Elite Wrestling. What are your thoughts on that brand new promotion that's popped up and is setting the wrestling world on fire right now? So as somebody that you weren't at the beginning of WCW and you weren't at the beginning of TNA, but you were certainly there when they were trying to make a footprint for sure. What do you think that AEW's biggest roadblock is? Right. Yeah. And they have a bunch of money behind them too, which is something that can certainly help them. I recently go ahead. Right. I recently watched your TED talk about why the news media is stealing from the pro wrestling playbook, and I found it to be very insightful, and I've shared it with a few friends of mine, and I can empathize with it because I also see pro wrestling in a lot of different places in the world. For example, one time I was going to my in-laws' house, and I asked my wife to just put me over with her dad. Is there is there anywhere else that you see pro wrestling that plays out in the general public, like in terms of people that may not watch wrestling? Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, even with Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather a couple of years ago, I mean, that clearly had a lot of pro wrestling under or overtones to it. Right. Yeah, they're all cutting promos. Right. Right. Uh, it's definitely crazy. We're living in the upside down. I don't want to take up too much of your time. What do you think 2019 wrestling would look like if the Monday Night Wars never existed? Right. Well, I don't want you on the show to be objective. I want you to be subjective. We want Eric Bischoff. Yes. Right. No. No. It's insane. And I can personally testify that what you were doing worked because I watched wrestling until about age 10, and then I didn't watch it again until age 18 when I was in college. And me and my college buddies, and we sat around and we drank 40s in the dorm room and we watched Nitro. That was the thing that we were into in 1998 1999. I know that you've been to St. Louis a few times. I know because I've seen you in St. Louis a few times. Are there any personal memories from your visits to St. Louis? Anything funny that happened that you can recall from your trips to St. Louis? Well, we're looking forward to see you on February the 23rd. For people who might be fans of yours, but who have never listened to 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, what can they expect from a live podcast with Eric and Conrad at Off Broadway on February 23rd? Right. Well, everybody here in St. Louis is looking forward to it. You can buy tickets, like I said, on 83 Weeks. That's spelled out 83weeks.com. Offbroadwaystl.com. You can follow him at @ebischoff, @hey it's Conrad, and at 83 Weeks. Your band from Ringside Buddies will be there, and I'll tell you what, the man that's opening the show for you guys is Randy Orton's little brother, Nathan Orton. And I have had the privilege of being the judge at a roast battle where he was one of the comedians, and he is a funny, funny guy. So everybody that's listening to this, come on out to Off Broadway on February 23rd to see 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff. Mr. Bischoff, I can't express to you how nice it's been to have you on the show. It's an honor and a privilege, and I can't wait to see you in a month or so. Yeah. That would be great. I can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you for coming on the show, and we will see you in a month or so. Thank you very much, Eric. That's Eric Bischoff, everybody, coming on the Band from Ringside podcast. And that'll bring us to our 3 counts.
I think you have 3 count, buddy.
Yeah, so the 3 counts going to be...
It's all Bill all night long, baby. Do your thing.
The 3 counts going to be the Andrade Cien Almas versus Mysterio match, which they have renamed Andrade Cien Almas as just Andrade, which boggles my mind, man. That was one of the best names going. That was one of the best names in the WWE. But Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio had a 20-minute match. They showed about 14 minutes of it on TV, but I just watched it right before I came in, and it was unbelievable, right? I mean, that was a great match. Thoughts on the match, Jake?
This is kind of what I was harping on. I guess it was when AJ Styles and Almas had their match. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna call that man Almas. That's it. If I'm gonna call him Almas, I'm gonna call him Almas. Andre Cien Almas had a really good match with AJ, and he couldn't get over. Well, I shouldn't say that. He didn't win the match. He got over, but just didn't go over. Better choice of words. Anyway, I was bitching about that. This is what I wanted to see, because now it only gives him more credibility. Not only did he do it once, but now he's done it twice. twice clean. And like I said, as a heel, all that does is now you have to look at him a little differently than you look at the Baron Corbins of the world that have to do the sneaky shit, or Miz that's just able to get over because I'm just smarter than you. Or in the case of Daniel Bryan, you know, I'm always one step ahead. But now you're thinking it like me. So now you're thinking like me. You're world heavyweight champion. So I mean, it was a big encompassing story to where now Almas needs to have this taken to the next level. Whatever that next level is, it's probably not going to be for the world heavyweight title, but a mid-card run is not necessarily beyond the realm of possibility. I mean, you know, I love Rusev and everything, but Rusev, Almas, you know, I'd rather go with the hot hand at this point. But I mean, Rusev has just been ready to start his feud against Nakamura, so I'm willing to get that a run for a second, see what happens.
As far as like Rusev and them, you know, they're two completely different guys. They're both great wrestlers, but I feel like Rusev is more of a character at this point, or at least how they've been using him. Almas is going to crush. Like, I would love to see him have a long Intercontinental run. As far as the match was concerned, like, it was spot crazy. I was honestly extremely surprised at the amount of spots were in this match. Like the one with the Hurricanrana out of the ring and landed on his knees.
Two Canadian destroyers.
And the two, and then the power bomb to the outside. I mean, it was crazy. It was like what I would consider to be a great NXT match.
It was
on SmackDown. Exactly. And there's a lot of people on that are saying that Almas is quite possibly one of the greatest luchadors of our time.
I don't know. This might be better for the guy on my left on this one to answer this, because I don't watch a lot of Lucha Libre. I don't watch a lot of CMLL or anything like that. But I'll just say this: what we saw with him being Almas and Johnny Gargano, I think, was kind of the wake up call again.
I think that was my favorite match of last year.
That was
I gave it my beat for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the wake up call to give everybody, you know, that didn't know who he was coming in. Okay, this is Andre Cien Almas. Now we've taken that, we've gotten him to beat Rey Mysterio not once but twice. Now you've given him credibility. You can put him against Rusev, and now you've got a good match, and that's how you build both guys.
What I really like thinking about, just talking about this match between Mysterio and Almas, is that you don't see. Well, on SmackDown, there's more than there on Raw, but every once in a while you see a great match on SmackDown, and I really like that. I know that Almas idolizes Mysterio. He's probably been watching Mysterio. I mean, Almas is probably 27, 28, so he's been watching Mysterio his entire life. I've been watching Mysterio my entire life, and I'm 39, so all of us have been watching Mysterio his entire life, and I like that those guys probably got together backstage, and they were like, fuck it, let's do a 20-minute filler match, and they probably went to Vince or whoever, or Michael Hayes, and they said, hey, give us 20 minutes, and those guys delivered.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, it was a spot fest, but it was also, there was lots of psychology in the match, and it was a smart looking match, and Mysterio did the right thing and went out on his back. Not that Mysterio's done, but Mysterio was there to put Almas over. Just like there were so many guys there to put Mysterio over in the beginning. That's the way that wrestling should be. That's what Jason Bell's been screaming in my ear since 2005 or whatever. He's been screaming at me that that's what those guys are there for, and it worked out perfectly because they both guys look good. Mysterio's obviously still got it.
Yeah, and that's what I think the biggest thing is coming away from all of his injuries. I think his last run with WWE was plagued with injuries coming down the stretch. But once you got him healthy again, he looks like Rey Mysterio.
He's just as good as he ever was.
Hey, man,
just as good as he ever been.
I missed the beat.
And I'll do it for us. 3 counts. F&B.
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton, part of our Southampton Mafia. You should see me there tomorrow. I want to try to get there every week, especially now when they have their brand new hours of operation. Closed on Sunday and Monday, however, but starting on Tuesday through Friday, they are open from 11 to 8 straight through, no breaks, no anything like that. And on Sundays, Saturday, Sunday, they're open from 8 to 2, once again, straight through. Just in case, especially in the scenario like we've had over the weekend in inclement weather, my suggestion is to follow them on Facebook at F&B Eatery, at, at Eatery1 on Instagram as well. So that way you can make sure that they're open just in case of inclement weather, and then on behind the scenes stuff, just daily specials, features, all that other good stuff. So go in, check them out. 3453 Southampton F&B Eatery. Tell them JCB sent you.
They posted those pictures on Facebook yesterday that I shared. Those burgers look fire, so you better hit me up tomorrow.
Yep. I was getting ready to say
I'm ready.
2-ish.
All right.
Okay. I was getting ready to say
Perfect.
I want to get there before I go to work. Yeah, God forbid we get snowed in again over the weekend.
Those patties, those burgers look ridiculous.
No, they're the smash burgers are off. So if you haven't had it, you can go ahead and thank me now. I'm done with it.
When it comes to burgers, that only smash.
For sure.
Right.
Right.
In more ways than one.
But my burgers look like donuts.
All right. We got some odds and ends. Did you guys watch the Coffee Pete Dunne match from NXT TakeOver Blackpool?
Yeah, the whole takeover was good. We had a Finn Balor, surprise where he fought Jordan Devlin, who's his mentee student. Just a great show, top to bottom. Really enjoyed it. That NXT UK crowd is so hot. I mean, it's a smaller venue. That British, I saw this with the Defiant episode earlier this week, where Pac and David Starr was the main event. That British crowd has a totally different vibe from American.
They're crazy.
And the singing.
Man, that Vince chant.
Dude.
Vince, are you watching? Hey, you.
Oh,
are
my
you watching?
God.
They're
good.
so good over there.
It's so original to the point where it makes me, as an American fan, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves.
Oh,
We
yeah.
went from the Attitude Era where you had all kinds of signs and just, we didn't try to take over, but we were a part of it. Now we try to hijack it and make it about us,
Now
where the
people say-
British fans are just adding
In it.
to the
Yeah.
fucking
They're with
level
it,
of
yeah.
the fucking event itself.
I'm also into the Samoa Joe Mustafa Ali feud.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
mad at that either, yeah.
Yeah, that seems like fun. I think that we're getting to a Shane Miz feud for the WrestleMania. That's also cool. We have the women's tag team belts that are going to be taking place in an elimination chamber, which is a match that has no tags. So I'm not sure how that's going to work.
And the
They're putting-
machinery is
they're
gonna
putting
win.
two- Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. Hot take.
James Ellsworth's going to manage it.
I
I'm putting two girls in each chamber.
Yeah.
Come
yeah,
out.
I mean, no, but there's no tag in an elimination chamber
Yeah,
match.
it's
You
just like
can't
a-
tag somebody in.
It's like one of those money machines where they put the money in and the bills just fly around. It's just going to be female wrestlers.
I think that, I think that they're trying to do something with the way that they're introducing NXT talent now. It doesn't seem to be working, but I appreciate them trying something different. Like Nikki Cross has shown up on both shows. Nikki Cross can be a big star. I wish that they would hook her back up with Sanity.
If you're booking the territory, then she belong on Raw or SmackDown. Go.
Before or after WrestleMania? WrestleMania season.
Right now, if you have to put her on one or
Raw.
the other,
Raw.
Raw, Nikki Cross, Raw or SmackDown.
Raw.
Raw.
That's
Raw or
like
SmackDown. I say SmackDown. Go ahead.
Asuka,
I mean,
she had a great fucking
SmackDown's
feud with
so
Asuka in NXT.
SmackDown. I mean, the SmackDown's so stacked. Though.
Let it be better. Just let it be better. Let
Yeah,
Raw
but
die.
It's either that or
No,
you
no,
put her against
no.
Ronda Rousey.
No, don't let Raw die. Have Nikki Cross versus Ronda Rousey at some point.
Right. See, the thing is, I think with Nikki Cross, I picked Raw only because she could fit either way. She's gonna go over somewhere, but Raw
SmackDown's
needs
so packed.
Raw needs more Nikki Cross.
Yeah, somebody else
Can I
can
say
beat
something
Ronda
else?
Rousey.
Can I say something
No.
else about the women's tag team title?
Yes.
Put it on the Iconics. First.
Yeah, for sure.
First.
I could go with
First.
that. I could
Put
go
it
with
on the Iconics. Let Sasha and Bailey lose and let them chase.
And then go with the feud that we've been teasing for about a calendar year, give or take.
Because if you don't, then what? Like if you give it straight to to
Right, you can't get
Sasha
to the
and Bayley.
faces. You can't get to the faces first off. You gotta get to the heels.
I
right?
don't disagree, and the Iconics are over no matter what. So like,
They're
it's not
over,
going to
and-
hurt anything.
and they're good. They're a little corny. They're a little cornier now than they used to be on NXT. But
I
they're
like it
good.
though.
They're exactly what they should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think they're great comedic theater.
There seem to be a couple of I don't know how to explain it. Adult themed storylines.
I'm about to go.
You see what I did on Twitter?
I'm
You
about
like
to go
that?
JCB on
No,
this. shit.
I didn't. But
Yeah.
You ain't going to
there was the Mandy
What,
Rose
right?
Jay
You ain't
Uso
going to
thing, which was dumb, and then there was the Alexa Bliss thing, which seemed really out of like there was no reason for it to have a guy walk in Alexa Bliss. Plus, when Mandy Rose exposed herself to Jimmy Uso, she was wearing more clothes than she wears to the ring.
People-
It was just black and lacy.
they were because of the scenario they were put in. Now everybody's talking about how they're going back on the women's division and how Evolution is now the de-evolution because 2 segments in 1 week showed some sexuality, and everybody's in an uproar about how they're throwing the women under the bus now. All of a sudden,
No,
might as well
no.
get rid of the whole thing. They are though. That's all over everything right now.
Well,
Everybody's throwing a fit about
I
this
wouldn't
shit.
agree with that because
I don't either.
You have well, let me yell at the straw man. Then is that there's no reason to say that because Becky Lynch and Asuka and Charlotte are leading off and
Yeah.
sometimes finishing every single SmackDown.
Becky
Ronda
Lynch is
Rousey with sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just saying, Becky Lynch is the most popular wrestler in the company right
Right.
Well,
yeah, no matter what.
and with Brock Lesnar being gone, Ronda Rousey's title all of a sudden is the most prestigious title on Raw. So listen, I'm not here to marginalize women any more than anybody else. I'm just saying that there is room for this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
Well, they didn't use it like okay. At least with Mandy Rose, there's a storyline connected to it.
I agree.
Whether how good or bad it is, but the
Right.
Bliss thing didn't make any sense.
If
That was
only they
Vince McMahon
if only
doing
they
something back
put
in the
this
day.
much thought into other
Right.
undercard stories.
Right.
Yes.
But,
Okay.
but adding a little sexuality to women in wrestling is not degrading women, and that's what apparently is the whole thing about this.
Right here. Sir. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you listening to our podcast. For birthdays, we have Ted DiBiase, RIP, would have been 65. He's alive.
He's alive.
I figured out what shirt I'm going to make him now. I'm just going to say Bill Baby, R.I.P.
Did you guys think I was serious? Did you think I was serious?
No!
Oh no!
At this point, I don't believe anything he said.
Batista is
Oh, no.
50. Mark Briscoe is 34. Pat Patterson, the architect of the Royal Rumble, is 78. R-Truth is 47. Tyler Breeze is 31. Carl Anderson with his hot Asian wife is 39. That's what he says.
That's what he does.
That's what he
said.
says. That's what he says. Maurice is 36. Tully Blanchard is 65. And for Shock City Studios,
Yeah.
for Sam Mall,
What's the purpose of the house? Check.
for Soul Taco,
Check.
for F&B Eatery,
Check.
for Eric Bischoff,
Check.
for
Thank you, Mr.
38 weeks,
83
for
weeks.
Hey
Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
what I say? What I
It's Bizarro
We're
World.
off
You didn't
Broadway.
believe him, did
For Murray the Murray Man Murray,
Check.
for Two Beer Zach
Check.
Collins, for JCB, I am
Check.
Phil Davey, and everybody boo the hill.
Jesus.
I'm dyslexic.
Breaks.
Sorry, Eric.
Oh.
I'm dyslexic.
Coming in hot.